welcome to our spoilers review of Caraval by Stephanie Garber.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I super enjoyed it.
I did too.
So it is billed everywhere as like the next Night Circus. And we hated Night Circus. When somebody's like, the next Night Circus, we're like, oh god, why?
But the premise is so cool.
This book took everything that was great about Night Circus, mainly the circus part, and then gave it a whole new plot.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I can deal with this. This person knows what they're doing. So, you know, gone are the child fighting rings and the magician yentas who can't seem to stop their clients from killing each other.
And a romance that I found to be very forced.
Yeah, and, you know, just tragic love story. And, yeah, you have this actual plot with these actual characters who you actually care about in this really cool world. The novel starts out with Scarlett and Tella, and they are living with their father who's very abusive. Like, when one of them screws up, he punishes the other one to keep them in line. Her father's actually murdered somebody in front of her, so she's like fucking terrified of her father. But the one hope that she has is this arranged marriage that he's come up with, and she's like sure that the guy is like a nice guy, and she's willing to marry him to get out of this house and take her sister with her.
But her entire life she has been writing to Grand Master Legend, who is like the circus ringleader of this like crazy carnival, which is like this big performance where you can participate in. So it's not just like going into the theater and watching the circus. No, you run around, you interact with people. There's like a game goes on sometimes where, you know, you could win a wish, you could do this, you just experience magic, and it's so cool and exciting. And she's heard all these amazing stories about it from her grandmother, and it's been her life dream to go. And she's spent pretty much her entire childhood writing letters to Legend being like, hey, I know you're not touring anymore, but can you please come, please? And I know you don't go to the same place twice, but please, I really want to go. And just every year, like clockwork, is writing to him, and she hears nothing back until the start of this book.
So he sends her three tickets, actually. He sends her one for her fiance, one for her sister Tella, and one for herself. And Scarlett's like, I can't go. If Dad finds out, he will like actually murder us. And no, I can't do it. I don't want to fuck up my marriage. And her sister Tella's like, listen, there's more to life than just cowering from our father. Let's freaking go. And Scarlett's like, no. So her sister co-ops this hot sailor guy to kidnap her sister, throws her on a boat, and she wakes up in front of like the island where Caraval is being hosted. Her sister has already gone ahead and like disappeared on the island, and she and the guy, the hot sailor named Julian, make it to Caraval, and it seems like he's just like out for himself.
So she has to wander around the city and find her sister. And so the point of this year's game is everyone is looking for Tella, and so everyone's been given a clue, and that includes Tella's room, which is ransacked from a crazy party night. And so Scarlett is freaking out because she's just like, holy shit, Legend has my sister. And the more she interacts with Caraval, the more this story starts coming out that he is this villainous guy who just loves breaking the hearts of women because he was scorned once. And every time he plays a villain in any of his stories, he takes on those characteristics. And so he's not this awesome, amazing guy that she always kind of dreamed him into being.
Yeah, it's kind of like a curse that he got when he got his powers to have this magical carnival, is any character he plays, he takes on those characteristics, and he's been playing the villain for so long that he's basically become one.
Which I really loved.
Yeah.
I like the character of Legend, though you don't really interact with him. He's kind of like up above and watching everything and controlling everything. Was super fascinating to me. Like the ultimate puppet master, controlling this entire city, and just the amount of planning to run this whole thing is insane. And then when you get to the end and you get to the big reveal, you realize that all that planning that you thought was just, you know, the one level, and then there's planning on the outside of that to make this planning. It's insane.
It's really fun and really cool. Okay, so a little bit about the city before we get into what happens in the plot. It's kind of built like Venice, where you've got all these canals. You don't use money in the city, really. You're paying with like the last lie you ever told, or what's your biggest fear, stuff like that. And you can get kind of like anything you can dream of in this city if you look hard enough. Scarlett finds a guy who can tell her her future. One girl purchases a potion, which means like you'll never go gray. She gets like a really cool protection potion, all this random cool stuff.
She uses this potion at one point that causes her to lose her ability to see color except for what she should be focusing on. So she's trying to tail someone and so they're in color, but everything else is in black and white.
Which is so cool.
Which is so cool.
There are like tunnels that respond to fear, and like if you know you're too freaked out, they like start to close in on you, which obviously doesn't help. So just really, really cool shit. As she's going through this, you know, she has Julian who's hinting that he's got something he's been trying to do, and you know, he's out for himself and he won't help her, but you know, they've totally got this chemistry. And then she meets this other guy named Dante. Apparently, you know, his sister was somebody who was kind of killed by legend and he's out for revenge. So you've got like these people who are out for themselves, and you're like watching this, and you know, at one point Dante gets killed and his sister gets killed, and you find out that Julian has been working with Dante to revenge his sister. And you're like, okay, I figured out his dark and mysterious secret. We can move on now, guys. It's no longer dark and mysterious.
That's halfway through the book.
Yeah. You're like, oh,
so fine. You're just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen now?
She's going through, trying to find her sister, following all these clues, and then at one point, her father and her fiance show up. And you're just like, oh shit, things are gonna get real. Her father like chases her down and like basically like forces her into like marrying her fiance.
Not even marrying,
yeah.
It's just like he's already bought you, so you like he's gonna sleep with you tonight and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's just oh god, it's so creepy. Yeah.
So that was like a really awkward scene. And I liked actually that the fiance wasn't like a big evil person.
No, he wasn't necessarily a good guy.
No.
But he wasn't a bad guy either. He's just like this, he's out for himself and he bought himself a bride, so he figures like if she's a possession. It's going from like the crazy controlling abusive relationship of the father to like another cage, which could be nicer but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be comfortable.
Like he's somebody who if they had met under different circumstances she might have actually liked, but because she's being forced to marry him and she's kind of like going along with her father's plan, she's like, I can't do that.
Yeah. You're not gonna protect me. Scarlet always thought that she wanted someone who would be able to protect her. That's how she saw marriage. It was like a castle. It was safe. She would be safe. And through Caraval, she kind of realizes she doesn't just want someone who would protect her. She wants someone who would be an equal to her, who would listen to her, who would care for her, and who would love her for who she is and not just like keep her as a possession. And so that was one of her big character turning points, which I really liked because it was you felt the gravity of the situation.
All throughout this book too, it's kind of been hinted that if Scarlet doesn't find her sister in time, Legend is going to kill her.
Because Legend, having his heart broke all those years ago, now just loves ruining women. And so Scarlet thinks that, oh my god, the reason he brought me here, not only is it to like kill my sister, but to ruin my engagement. Because no one in my family can be happy because it was my grandmother who scorned him.
Ah. You're like, okay, alright, well I guess this works.
You know so little, yet so much about Legend, you're like, okay, yeah, I can see it. Like if you were an all-powerful crazy wizard who controlled an entire city,
why the fuck not?
Yeah, it's like, I'm just gonna ruin people's lives because, hey!
I need something to do with my immortal life, thank you very much.
People are stupid!
So, you know, she's racing against the clock to save her sister, and I like kind of how you don't know Tella, you just know Tella through Scarlet.
Oh man, and I didn't like her at all.
Really?
No, I didn't like this girl.
In Scarlet's mind, Tella is a very impulsive, very passionate person who's like just gonna like jump and then look after. Fall in love as easy as breathing, and just very kind of like naive and lustful and woo, heads in the clouds.
I didn't like her. Like it was just like, I was just like, oh my god, you need to sit this girl down and be like, hey, okay, yeah, cool. Yes, I'm now aboard team Let's GTFO, but if we're gonna GTFO, we gotta do this. We're not gonna and
we're not just gonna like jump on the first party bus that drives by here.
Yeah. And so at the end of the book, that just made me love her to death because holy shit, I was duped.
Basically because you only learn about Tella through Scarlet's impression of her. By the end of the book, you realize that Scarlet doesn't quite know her sister at all.
She's a completely unreliable narrator. And so where Scarlet is I must protect her, her sister is like a fucking puppet master. And like the sister, Tella is also writing to Legend, and Legend writes back to the sister constantly because interested.
Tella has piqued his interest in her story, I guess,
And the fact that they planned the thing together.
Yeah. So basically you find out at the end, Scarlett's kind of been wavering in her wants between like somebody who will protect her and love and somebody and like saving her sister. Basically, Julian gets killed off and she's like, well, shit, he's dead. There's nothing I can do with him. If I save my sister, I get one wish at the end. But you know what? I can't use it on him. I need to protect my sister. So she finds her sister and her sister's like, oh, I've had such a fun time being kidnapped and I've been kind of bored, but you know, there's just been this guy who I'm just in love with and I'm gonna marry him. And you know, it's gonna be awesome. Come meet him. And
it's Legend.
And Scarlett flips her shit. She's like, what the fuck is this Legend? And she's like, no, he's not.
Daniel.
This is Daniel, he loves me. And so her sister walks out of the room and Scarlett goes to Legend. She's like, leave my sister alone. I will do anything you want. Like, do not make her kill herself, because that's what she thinks she's gonna do. And so he's like, okay, go stand by the edge. Prove that, you know, you'll do anything I tell you if I spare your sister. And so she goes to stand by the edge and then Tella walks back in the room. He's like, oh, your sister's going crazy. She's gonna jump. And then, you know, Scarlett manages to reveal that it's Legend and her sister's like, I can't live with this. And she throws herself off the tower. And you're like,
and it's like the father is there and like the fiance is there because like Tella says to the father, it's just like, if I jump, you won't have any control over Scarlett because you need me to control Scarlett. And it's just this really just like messed up like nightmare shit show for Scarlett.
It's like a Mexican standoff between like three parties where the father is just like, no, I need you to have this arranged marriage so I can be powerful. And the sister's like, listen, I'm your bargaining chip, so I'm jumping.
And the sister jumps.
Yeah.
And then like Scarlett's just like, I have lost everything.
Yeah, that's it, I'm done. And so then, you know, Legend's like, well, I can't bring your sister back, but you know, if you wish hard enough, she'll come back. And so Scarlett manages to like figure out what she wants, which is save her sister, and her sister comes back to life and she's like, that was good. Let me tell you about what's been going on behind the scenes. Oh yeah, I'm not an airhead, by the way. By the way.
And the guy you thought was Legend, totally an actor. What?
Yeah.
Everyone!
Oh, and by the way, Julian's not dead. Yeah.
And we're gonna go to a party tonight and Scarlett's just like totally shell-shocked.
She's like, what did I just go through?
This whole entire thing has been a setup for them to escape their father because Tella realized that it doesn't matter how far they run, he will always come for them. So if she's dead,
then there's no way to control Scarlett and he'll leave them alone.
Yeah.
So Julian comes back because he's a performer and everybody who died, like Dante and Dante's sister, they get to come back. So, you know, she's at this kind of ball and it's kind of like everything's gonna work out. You know, she's found the guy who loves her. Turns out he's Legend's brother. Tella is having a great time at the party. And then she gets a note from a mysterious stranger who's like, hey, I did that thing you asked for. Time to fulfill your part of the bargain. You're like, dun dun dun! Oh my God.
I really liked him and I liked that you never actually saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Like they discuss how Legend always appears in the game, but it's one of his performers pretending to be him and like no one knows what he looks like. And yes, he had his heart broken, but that didn't like mess him up. That was just part of the narrative. Like the levels of narrative in this game are ridiculous.
But it's not done in a way that it's frustrating. Yeah. It's done in a very smart, clever way where you're like, she's not just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
It's clearly methodically well thought out and like a perfect trap that you would have easily fallen into. Because if you're second guessing everything, they're like, you have to have layers to second guess through, you know? Like an onion.
So it's really great. You hit the middle and you're like, oh yes, I figured it, the dark mysterious character and that YA trope is out the window, thank God.
No.
And then you realize that, you know, that she was just using it against you the entire time.
Which is so clever.
I really enjoyed this book.
It was really good and I'm excited for the sequel.
Super excited. I don't know how she's gonna top it, but
I don't know.
It'll be great. So we highly recommend you read this book.
Yes.
It comes out January 2017. Don't know when you're watching this, but if it's out, pick it up. Please, please, please. And tell us what you think of it, guys.